Hey everybody, Aaron back with you. I just wanted to kind of give everybody an update in regards to where we're at right now. I realize that I haven't put a lot of episodes out in the past couple weeks because not even that the fact that I've had guests, we've actually just been really busy. And that makes me a little sad because I'm not in the sense of this podcast. My goal is to always give you at least a guest every week or every 2 weeks. And it's just been hard because you're trying to balance different positions at this job. And I'm always trying to just do my best. And I know it's not easy, but I want to provide to my listeners because you guys tune in and week out. I kind of hate that. And I want to make sure that I keep doing the best I can to do it, but you know, like any job, it's not always easy to get things done always on time and provide what I need to do. And I feel like I have to say I'm sorry in a way because I haven't been able to do that lately. So it's been tough, but it's actually been very reassuring too because I've had a couple people talk about they want to tell their story. They want to talk about what they're doing. And I feel like that's very important because I need that. I need people to share what they're doing. I need people to share their content, share what they have, because that's always been the basis of this podcast, is people giving me their story. I've never felt like I was a host, more or less. I've always felt like this was just a platform that I could give people a voice to share something. And that's still the goal for me. That's always going to be the goal. I don't think that's ever going to change, to be honest. I think it's always, to be completely honest, this is just a platform that I want people to share their message to encourage others. That's always been the goal. With other things that have happened at the center, it's also been very hard to really get podcasts scheduled and get podcasts out because we're doing trainings for other people. We're doing certain things where I have to travel and I don't have time to sit and edit, or I don't have time to sit and actually talk with somebody. So it's a learning process too for me, you know, and I feel like being more honest and real with people is better than me making excuses, because what good has that ever done anybody, to be honest? I feel like it's more personable to be honest and say, look, if I'm traveling, if I'm doing things, I can't get podcasts out every week, but I don't want you to just forget about the podcast. I want people to understand that sometimes it has to take a back burner in order for other things to flourish. You know, and this resilience training that we at the center have been really pushing for our first responders to get in the state of Wisconsin. It's very important right now. And honestly, I've been one to not get into what's been going on in the world right now. I mean, we all clearly know that, to be completely honest, it's a shit show. But there's always two sides to it. There's a side of what's reported, and there's a side of what's fact. You know, and I used to say when I was in law enforcement, and I used to go to a call, I used to always tell people there's three sides to every story. There's person A's side, there's person B's side, and then there's the truth. Because A and B can be so different, and it's all what perception is. And you have to manage that in a very short situation. So it's very tough. But I never wanted to get into those things in this podcast because that's not what this is about. And I kept seeing it today, and I kept seeing all of these things that are real and keep flooding my news feed, flooding my Twitter feed about such and such. And honestly, it's been very depressing. It's been really hard to kind of manage and really think about those things. And I hate it. I hate that this world is so divisive over one thing or another. And I just am starting to really get weighed down by that. And I know I always tell people on the podcast to spread positivity and spread hope and spread the good stuff, because that is what I want to do. And honestly, sometimes it's just like you're getting tested minute after minute, day after day about, no, it's going to be bad today and you're going to listen to it and you're going to follow it. But I think what the most amazing thing is with the resilience training that we have is that you still see the positive effects of a negative situation and you go from that and you learn, you adapt and you change. And regardless of what I see and regardless of what is going on in this world, I will still continue to spread that positive message because that is what I am born to do right now. I always thought that my life was going to be a cop. I always thought that I was going to be a patrol officer for my entire career. And then that dream got shattered. And I'm looking back on that now and thinking of how that was more of a blessing than it was a curse. You know, I talk with my therapist quite a bit about those things, and it's refreshing to understand that maybe things do happen for a reason, whether you believe in faith or religion or anything. I mean, maybe things just do happen the way they're supposed to. Fate, destiny, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes those things just happen. And I really look back on this and I think how lucky I am right now, sitting in my office, drinking my cup of coffee, really understanding that I am probably the luckiest I've ever been. You know, I never thought I was going to be in the position that I was in my entire life right now. You know, I'm married and I have 2 wonderful children that, yes, they're young and they drive me crazy, but I love them to death. I have a wife that loves me. I have so many things going for me. I have a house. I have a dog. I have all of these wonderful things. However, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I'd have never thought this was possible. And so maybe sometimes faith, longevity, time, I don't know what it is, but I think the whole message that I'm trying to get across is that no matter what is going on and no matter what's happening, you always have to keep pushing on. And I think that's what's most important, because if we don't keep pushing on and we don't keep striving for the next day or being there tomorrow, it's going to be a hard thing to do. And we have to keep encouraging others to be there for tomorrow. I'm now really understanding the power of being there for people, checking in on them, making sure they're okay. It's not weak to express yourself, and it's not weak to ask somebody if they're okay. I get so upset about that. I get so upset about the fact that people ask, why would you check in on somebody? They're doing fine. Maybe they're not, though. And I just want to make sure that we're there. I want to make sure that people understand that it's not weak to be vulnerable, and it's not weak to share feelings. That whole masculinity thing is bullshit. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. At one time, I thought that that was the right thing, because I was hiding and masking feelings that I needed to get out. So I urge you and I beg you, if you feel like sharing your feelings is weak and you feel like sharing what's most inside and vulnerable to you is weak, check yourself, because that is not true. I have been more open on a podcast. I've been more open in trainings than I've ever been in my entire life. And I know, and I have proof of how many people I've affected in such a positive way that have helped them get the help that they need. So I urge you, if you're ever listening to anything, or if you're hearing me and you feel like you're too nervous to do it or you're too afraid, trust me, you reaching out for help is one of the most strongest, amazing things you can do for your life. We are only here for a very short time, and I want to express that to you because we are. Getting the help you need to live the highest quality of life is the most important thing that you can do. And I would do anything for people to understand that. So there's my little soapbox for this podcast. I literally turned on my mic and had no idea what I was going to talk about, but I feel like I needed to talk about something. And that's what came out. And it's important. because I know that sometimes we need that. Sometimes I just need to vent to a microphone in my office where there's nobody here listening. And the fact is that there's thousands of people that are listening, and I'm just not going to know about it. But even if I have to open myself up and be vulnerable like this for people to understand, I will absolutely do it, because I care about each and every single one of you that are listening right now. So, with that, I'll go through my little spiel at the end of usually a podcast, because this is a kind of a different one. So anyway, if you like our podcast, if you like the previous podcasts that I've come out with a bunch of different celebrities, with people that have shared their stories and have been amazing, like, share, subscribe this podcast. I can't express enough how much that actually plays a role into these things, because it does help. Literally, I mean, every thumbs up, every like that you give, it only propels this podcast into a much more viewable area. And that's very important to us. So please share it. Do whatever you can to promote it. You can check out our social pages. Check out our absolutely new, amazing website, www.centerforsuicideawareness.org. We have literally one of the greatest people that redid our entire site. It looks beautiful. I encourage people to look at it, explore it. It's only in phase 1 and it's phenomenal. So check it out. It's only going to get better from here. www.centerforsuicideawareness.org. You can also check us out on our social pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Discord. All of them are at Center for Suicide Awareness in Kaukauna, Wisconsin. You can always email me, Aaron, Aaron, at centerforsuicideawareness.org. If you want to share your story, if you have comments, or if you have a person you think would be great for the podcast, I want to hear it. Throw it out to me. I'm here. I want to hear stories. That's part of my job. I want to hear those stories, and I want to give you that platform to express and share what you want to. So you can always email me again, Aaron, Aaron, at centerforsuicideawareness.org. And I say this almost every single week because it's the most important thing that I can express and give to you as a listener, that you can even spread to people that don't even listen to the podcast. The Center for Suicide Awareness created something called the Hopeline. It's a text-based emotional support service in which you're able to talk about any issue you're facing. It does not have to be suicide. And I think that's something that needs to be understood. It's not just suicide. It's not a suicide hotline. It can be, but it's also for so much more. Are you having a bad day? Did you have a breakup? Are you worried about finances? Are you worried about a relationship? Are you worried about a friend that might have one of those issues? You can text this line, and we have 2,600 trained professionals there, ready to answer those questions, comments, or concerns. We want you to use this line. So all you have to do is text the word Hopeline to 741-741, and you'll be connected to one of our trained specialists free of charge to talk about those issues. Again, utilize it, share it, spread it, whatever you have to. Text Hopeline to 741-741. So again, this week was a little different, where we didn't necessarily have a guest because we've had a lot of stuff going on at the center in which we've had to train. We've had to really kind of formulate a new avenue that we're taking. But the podcast is not taking a back burner by any means. It's only just still beginning. And because I haven't had anything out in a couple weeks, I felt it was my responsibility to make sure that people understood that. So remember, this is not going away. This is not just going to stop. I will always have something coming out, even if I don't have it 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Rest assured, there is always something new that's going to be coming. Until I tell you otherwise, I will always keep doing this podcast. And I appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to listen and understand. Because, as I say every single week, be kind to one another. You are loved and you are important. And remember, you are not alone. Take care, everybody. Bye.